Yo, YouTubers, it's been a while since I've done one of my in-depth speeches, and it appears to me, going by my viewing figures on my channel, right, I've still got got about 110 subbers or something, and I'm getting subscribers every day. It's people suddenly, some of them might be agents, mightn't they, obviously, some of them might be real, I don't know, but from my viewing figures, right, I assume that people that watch my channel are into my speeches more than anything else. You know, me long speeches where I go into detail about things, you know what I mean? So I put things on hold for a while, and I've just been putting songs on and stuff like that, yeah, and little short messages, you know what I mean, about buy your recognition and things like that. But it appears that me subbers and me viewers seem to like me speeches better than anything else, and that's what they wait for, and that's what they want to hear, you know what I mean? And you know that everything I say on my speeches is all for the glory of God, right? Okay, I'm not the nicest man on the planet, I'm not the goody two-shoes, you know what I mean? I'm not perfect, right? But I do believe in God, and I do speak for God, and I carry a banner for God. So I assume that most of my viewers and the subbers, the ones that do actually like, they tend to watch me speeches more than anything else, you know what I mean? That's what they like the most. So although today I'm going to do a speech, and I made a promise a couple of weeks back, it was a few weeks back, where I said I've got a speech to do about witchcraft and stuff, and how it's affected me in my personal life. So today's speech is that speech, right? And this is going to be, I'm sure this is going to go into the hour. It might even be 2 hours, depending on how much I've got to say. I've got so much to say, guys, right? But I don't get the time to do it, do you know what I mean? Because, you know, the processing of, I go from my camera to my computer, and then I have to render things and then upload it to YouTube. It's very time consuming, and that's the only reason I don't do it. If I used an iPhone, things would be a lot faster, wouldn't they, obviously, you know, because the quality of the iPhones and the upload speed and all the rest of it. That's one good factor about iPhones, is you can put your videos onto YouTube fast, yeah, but the medium is not right, and the SIM cards and the phone towers and all that, like, I advise against it, like, but I use a camera, you know what I mean? I use my video camera, and then I have to process it and all the rest of it, yeah. But today's speech, right, I hope you don't mind, guys, but I'm drinking wine today as I speak, because it's the best way that I can tell the truth. Do you understand? When if I've had a drink, right, I'll tell the truth, man. It's like a truth drug for me, like. So I'm having a little drink of wine. I mean, it's early in the day, I'm not like getting drunk and all, like, but I felt like it's the only way I can try and speak openly without worrying about that. I've got neighbours around me and things, and I feel paranoid and shy, you know, about saying these things. It's one of the reasons I don't do it, like. So I'm going to drink some wine, right, guys? I want you to listen to what I've got to say. This is the speech I promised, you know, a few weeks back, like I said, it's about witchcraft and stuff and how it's affected me, right? Okay. I'm going to start. Hold on. I'm going to start off by saying, talking about a dream I had. Right, now I saw myself as a naughty person when I was younger. You know, I used to steal things, used to, you know, break into people's cars and nick CB radios and that kind of stuff. You know, I was a typical teenager, you know what I mean, like, just the way it is, like, when you're younger, like, you know what I mean, but nothing really bad, or, you know what I mean. And another bad thing, I always saw myself as, you know, one of my own little, you know, when you got to face yourself and face your own errors and be honest with yourself, yeah. It was when I was a punk rocker, when I was younger, and I had a book of songs, yeah, you know, everyone's got a song book, or diaries and things like that, yeah. And when you're a brash teenager, guys, right, you can't be perfect, can you? And we've all been indoctrinated by our schools and the rest of it, you know, you know, YouTube is telling people how bad these organisations can be, you know, for like indoctrinating us and stealing our consciousness and all the rest of it. Like, and as soon as you go against it, you get a cold shoulder, don't you? You start getting a hard time. You can't find work. You know what I mean? People don't treat you like they used to, or you know, people that used to be your friends are sort of like, oh, I'm not having anything to do with him because you're not going along with the system, and they are, yeah. Now this speech is going to be like the fulcrum point of like, this ties in with drugs, this ties in with all kinds of things, man, because it's all witchcraft, right? It's all about witchcraft. And it's all about Satan's domain. And we all know, you bear in mind, guys, Satan, his domain is air, right? What we call air. A-I-R, air. Right? I've done this speech before, like I've made this point before in one of my other speeches where I talk about me having to throw away a crystal ball paperweight because it had bubbles of air in it, you know. It was man-made, you know what I mean? It wasn't a natural piece of quartz. It was, you know, this quartz had been melted down and then remade into it like this paperweight thing with balls of air in it, you know, bubbles, yeah, bubbles, Satan's bubbles, you know what I mean? Now, Satan used all that before plastic was invented. You know, every witch has got a crystal ball, haven't they, right? Now, I've got a crystal ball, I've told you that, but I use it as a counter, you know what I mean? It's like, I've been up against people who were using that kind of element against me. And so I thought, right, you've got to put up a wall somehow, it's just a temporary thing, you know what I mean? Right, but I don't sit down divining or trying to look through people's eyes and all that kind of stuff. This is what they do, you know what I mean? But I found the source was crystal balls in people's living rooms, and they were witches. They were all the people who I'm pointing the finger at. They can't deny it. They can't deny that they're into witchcraft and occultism. That's what gets them off. That's what they're into. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, because, you know, to cut a long story short, this is going to be a long speech, guys, but I know you guys out there, you love my speeches, so I'm going to give you this one, like, right? I'm going to, revelations and pennies dropping, right? That's what my speeches are all about, is people thinking about something that you might not have ever thought about before. Everything's on YouTube, guys, we all know that. There's people out there who covered everything, right? But there's little bits in between that we all need to hear and see and know. You know, the little bits that we, you know, those little bits of information there would change everything. Do you know what I mean? It's like, wow, now I understand. Now I understand. Oh, the postman's just been there. Hold on, I'll just go and see what the postman's delivered. Junk mail. Junk mail. I put it in the freezer, believe it or not. Whenever I get a letter in the post and it's like junk mail, like Virgin Media. Why don't you go on to Virgin Media or Sky TV? Put it in the freezer, and then a couple of hours later, take it out the freezer, tear it up, throw it in the bin. Freeze the bastards, yeah. Okay, it's back to the subject, wait. I'm going to start off, right. I was in Wales, looking after a cottage for someone with an ex-girlfriend, yeah. This was back in about 1994, I believe, 94. Just starting to believe in God, right. I'd had me illness and me madness and everything else, and I was just starting to say to myself, is God for real, right? Okay, and my girlfriend, the girl I was with at the time, she wasn't interested in it whatsoever, right? She was a good person, but I believe she was affected by the witch book, do you know what I mean? Which comes naturally in most people's lives, doesn't it? Right, there's witches in all directions. I'm not talking about going around on broomsticks with pointy hats, guys. I'm talking about, they could be waiting behind, you know, the counter in Sainsbury's or whatever, you know. These kinds of witches. Rosemary's Baby and all that, like, you know, they're like normal people on the surface, you know, they cover us. Right, but anyway, I'm with this chick in Wales, and we're looking after someone's cottage. And it was the first time I'd been out in that kind of place, away from the town and the city, for a bit of rest and respite, you know. It was like a little holiday for me, you know what I mean, because I was just recovering from the illness and that, like. And we're looking after this cottage for these people that they were away on holiday, or, you know, they were on business sort of thing. And in the cottage there was horses, dogs, cats to feed, you know. That was the purpose of us being there, was to look after these animals while the people were away, yeah. And we had a little bit of an argument. Things got to us because we were stranded there for 2 months, you see. We had to stay, it was a 2-month deal, you know, where we were looking after the place for 2 months. And so we couldn't go back home, or we couldn't just walk away from each other if we had a little fallout or whatever, anything like that, you know what I mean? So we had a little bit of a sort of, things got to us both, like, you know what I mean? And we had a little bit of a Barney kind of thing, like, and I advised her to go and stay with a friend who was working in Wales at the time, on a holiday camp or something, a caravan park or something, yeah. So I was on my own for the first time in my life, guys, yeah. I'm on my own. I had the animals to feed and the horses to look after and stuff, and the dogs to feed, you know. There were 2 big dogs, huge dogs, right? 2 thoroughbred horses, 5 cats, or 4 cats. One of the cats was called Merlin, by the way. Merlin in Wales, you know, a black cat. And while I was on my own, which was very unusual for me to have all that time to myself, and I'm in a cottage in the middle of the countryside. I'm not in a semi-detached or a block of flats, or, you know what I mean, the usual what I'm used to, like I am now. I'm in a block of flats now, and my neighbours can hear everything I'm saying and the rest of it. That's why I'm having a drink, guys, yeah. So I can spit it out as honest as I can without caring, you know. But I'm in this cottage in the middle of, it was like, you know, I felt like a rich man, do you know what I mean? I was like, oh my word, I can't believe this. And she wasn't there nagging me, you know, telling me to do the dishes and everything. Like, I had like 2 days on my own, basically. Oh no, 4 days. 4 days within that 2 months. I was completely on my own with the animals, just me and the animals, yeah. So I started feeling at peace with myself and thinking, wow, I don't have to do the dishes now. I don't have to hoover up or do, you know, because that's what, you know, that's what girls do. That's what women do. They like, get the dishes done. You know, you're gonna hoover up. You're gonna, you know. I just took time out for 4 days. Yeah. And then I goes to bed one night in the midst of these 4 days alone, sleeping alone. Remember, yeah. And I had this weird dream, right? Now, bearing in mind, I've always thought of myself as a naughty man, a naughty person. You know, I've robbed people, all this, you know, where you give yourself the guilt trip, you know, whack yourself over the back with a salmon or something, like, you know, until you know, the guilt trip, like. But never saw myself as an angel or a saint, you know what I mean? And I had this dream, and it's because I was in Wales, it was because I was in the middle of the mystic capital of Britain, in my opinion, you know what I mean? And I had this dream where I was standing, like I was on trial. I was on trial. And it was a Senate. Like, you know, the nearest thing I've seen to it is when you see movies, it's like the Roman Senate, or, you know, where people are all sitting in a sort of like on chairs that are sort of like a lecture theatre or a theatre. And they're all in chairs. And there was all these guys looking at me. And they all look like Merlins, you know, they all have like white hair and white beards and white gowns. Like mystics or Merlins, plural. You know, all these dudes like sages or mystics, I don't know. And I was on trial. I'm standing there as the prisoner being assessed. What is, you know, what's this man done wrong and all the rest of it, yeah. Feeling guilty, feeling me guilt trip. This is a dream, remember, but it was so clear it was real. Yeah. Bearing in mind, I'm in the middle of a place where anyone could have abducted me. You know, they could have abducted me. I wasn't in control. You know what it's like in Wales, guys? They all keep themselves to themselves and they talk to each other on a communal basis, yeah. And if you're an outsider, they'll let you know, you know what I mean? But they made me feel welcome while I was there, yeah. Because I've got Welsh blood, obviously, you know what I mean? I'm half English, quarter Irish and quarter Welsh, as far as I know. So I'm there, like in this, looking at all these guys with white beards. And one of them in particular is talking to me. He looked like a Merlin dude, like the King Vortigern or whatever figure, you know what I mean? Someone more senior to me, yeah? And he said, "You've been a naughty boy, haven't you, Bruce?" Sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? It's like you've ruffled some people's feathers, haven't you, Bruce? You've been done some, you know. And the points I made before about songbooks and when I was a punk rocker. Yeah, I wrote some horrible things. I drew some ridiculous pictures, doodles. You know, if that's a crime, you know what I mean? That's a crime, right? How many people out there you might have done it yourselves? You know what I mean? You've got your own songbooks and doodle books and diaries, and you draw pictures of people, or you know, like when you're in school, you draw the headmaster, or you know that kind of thing where you just, you know. So this mystic guy, who's more senior than me, is going. He says, "You've been a bad lad, haven't you, Bruce? You kind of, you know, you've stolen from people, you've mouthed off about people in songs and you know, stuff like that." And of course, I'm standing there thinking, yeah, I can't deny it, guys, you know what I mean? I'm looking at all these mystic guys, all just like, you know, serious dudes, yeah. This was a dream, remember, but it was so real. And I'm like, yeah, I have to admit it, man. You know, I'm not perfect, am I? What is it this time, guys? Is this the guillotine, or is this the death penalty, or what? Like, is this where judgment finally arrives, and you know, is it all over for me, like? Waiting for the hammer to fall kind of thing, yeah. You know, not denying it, not you know, trying to make excuses. And then he goes, "But it wasn't your fault." which was a breath of fresh air to me, because I'm used to being criticised and attacked, guys, you know what I mean? I'm used to people all putting me down, and, you know, I've been used to that for a long time, yeah. Only God pulled me out of all that. You know what I mean? God takes away your guilt trips and everything, doesn't he? You know what I mean? In the long run, like. But anyway, he says, "It's not your fault." And I'm like, huh? How is that possible? I know I'm responsible. You know, a lot of people out there think they're responsible for their own actions, don't they? Most of us do, don't we? But this is the way they put it to me, right? These wise old sages from Wales, right? I'm in the middle of Wales, remember, in the United Kingdom. The Principality of Wales, like. And these guys are saying, "It's not your fault, son." I'm like, well, how can it not be my fault? And they said, "Because since you were a child, since you were very young, Bruce, a certain witch has put spells on you since you were a child." And that was new to me. Do you know, at the time, I was like, never had a clue. I never even thought that a witch had been putting spells on me, you know what I mean? You just don't think like that, do we? But that's what they said to me. And I'm telling the truth here, guys. Look, I swear down, I'm not like trying to make excuses for myself. I'm going to tell you the truth, right? I'm sure there's a lot of people out there might share this kind of opinion and this viewpoint, or this, you know, they might have been through the same trip themselves. They said, a certain witch, warlock, wizard, whatever you want to call it, right? This is how they described it to me. They said, he or she, because remember there's male witches as well, has put a spell of witchcraft around you. A coil is the way they described it. A coil of witchcraft around you, Bruce, since you were a child. So that you can't get it right. So that you can't make it in the world. So that you can't do everything right and be perfect and get everything right. It would have been impossible for me to succeed without making any mistakes, is the way they said it to me. So how can you get it right if some witch is watching you all your life, putting spells on you? And I was like, that's a new one on me, guys. I didn't know that. You know what I mean? I know I've been a dickhead, but I didn't know there was a witch or a warlock making me be a dickhead. You know what I mean? So I went, "Oh, that's a new one on me." And he said, "It's a coil, Bruce. It's a coil. It's been around you, and it goes back to when you're a child. And I'm thinking, I don't remember anything really sinister or really bad enough to, but they move silently, remember. They move in a way that others can't detect them, or there's no evidence. These people don't come out blatantly putting spells on people, so that obviously they're going to do it, so they do it in silence, don't they? They do it so no one can see the evidence or anything, or, you know, when you're airing your opinion and you're going, it wasn't me, it was them, and you go, oh, come on, pull the other one. A load of witches watching you and that, like. That's the way they do it, yeah. What they said, they told me, not I didn't tell them, they told me, these wise old dudes, they said, this witch has put so many spells around you since you were a kid. It's impossible for you to get everything right. And I was like, wow, breath of fresh air. It was like, you know, it was like the sunshine coming through the window, you know what I mean? Just hearing that, like. And I was like, oh, wow. And then he even said, like, and it's not your mum, and it's not your sisters, because I've got 2 sisters, right? And most women in my community, in my world, from my past, will admit to you that they've been involved in some form of witchcraft, you know, like Sabrina, the teenage witch, or, you know, those kind of things are common in a lot of societies, you know what I mean? Sabrina and their talking cat and everything, like, you know, and the Book of Spells, you know, the family, you know, in Sabrina, and, you know, Charmed is another series where they've always got a book, haven't they? They've got a book of spells, yeah. They always have this massive book that goes back for thousands of years or hundreds of years in the family, and that's their source, what we call a source, yeah. So anyway, bearing this in mind, that I've just been told that none of my mistakes are my fault, right? I was goaded, I was pushed, I was spellbound, I was bound to make the mistakes I made. But years later, those very witches come back to put the blame on you. Do you understand? They blackmail you, they make you make a mistake, and then they're the ones that show up, like when you become an adult, and they're going, you think you're a really good guy, don't you? Well, you made this mistake when you were 10, or you made that mistake when you were 5, you know what I mean? They really go deep into your past, and it's them pulling it all along, isn't it? The goads, you know, Jesus said it's hard to kick against the goads. A goad is someone that makes someone do something they don't want to do, isn't it? Yeah? Which includes being naughty or being bad, or, you know. So, this was really real, you know what I mean? And then he said, it's not your mum, it's not your sisters, right? And this is the way they put it. And this is 1994, guys, I was being told this. I mean, what is it now, 2014? That's 20 years ago, man. I had this dream. It was 94 when I was in Wales, about June, it was summer 94, right? Yeah, so I've been dwelling on this for 20 years now, guys, you know what I mean? This has been in my head for 20 years. That dream has changed my life. That dream made me realise I wasn't guilty. That dream made me realise that why should I go on guilt trips? It helped me in that way, you see. When I came out of that dream, I was thinking, right, now I know that. I don't give a shit what anyone thinks of me anymore, you know what I mean? I know I'm a good lad, like. And they said, the coil has been around you all this time, and it's got to snap, you know, like a watch, a spring in a watch, when you wind it up too much and it snaps. Or, you know, when too much is being done and it's too intricate to spell, it's got to break. And he said to me, the witch that has put all these spells on you, it's going to reverse. That's the way, that was their words, not mine, right? These mystics were telling me, like, the whole spell is going to reverse on the witch who in question, male or female, I don't know, and they're going to get it all back, you know what I mean? And I was like made up just to hear that, you know what I mean? It was music to my ears, do you know what I mean? It was like the maddest thing. And I came out of the dream and woke up the next day, and I was still on my own in this cottage in the middle of Wales. Look out the window and I was seeing mountains and hills instead of, you know, blocks of flats and council blocks. It was, you know, it was a real eye opener for me, to understand, on a spiritual level, like. So I was like, wow, they just took the weight off my shoulders, and I haven't had a guilt trip since, guys, you know what I mean? I don't feel guilty about anything ever since that, because I know there was something going on, right? That there was a witch of some kind that had done this to me, you know what I mean? Some kind of, remember, oh, bear in mind, like, the King Herod was like so evil. He had all the children murdered in you know, in his vicinity, because he was scared of any messengers arriving or anything like that, you know what I mean? He's getting everyone put to death when they were adults and all the rest of it. Like, you know, you've got to bear in mind these kinds of things going on, yeah? And any of us who are going to be speaking about the Bible in the future or praising God, we're targets, man, you know what I mean? We're the occultist #1 targets. Like, Barack Obama's probably going to watch this actual video in the White House and say, we've got to stop this man. You know. But anyway, I come out of this dream, and this is 20 years ago, and since then I've been doing nothing but detective work, right? I've been thinking, where were these blocks of witchcraft that were blocking me? Where was the source of these things? Where could it have come from? Because I had just had a normal childhood. I had a brother who was a year older than me, and two sisters. One sister's 3 years older than me, and my other sister's younger than me. Right? So it was only me and my brother, my kid brother, who's like a year older than me. I always looked up to him, obviously, because when we were toddlers, he was a year older, and whatever he did, I'd think, well, I've got to do, haven't I? You know what I mean? And he wasn't right in the head, if you know what I mean. Like, he wasn't always on the level, like, you know. Just like, he killed me goldfish. He was that kind of brother, you know what I mean? He murdered me goldfish when I had a goldfish, and you know, it's that kind of thing, like, yeah. So I was like, what on earth could have caused this, or where would this source of witchcraft come from? Now, the first place I could think of is school and the teachers, yeah, the way they block you in the, you know, indoctrination, and you know, they keep you work. You draw a picture for them in the classroom, they keep hold of it, don't they? You write a story in your book, they keep hold of it. They keep part of your mind. Everybody who's been to school and through the education system, they've always had a piece of your mind that you never get back, unless, you know, God gives it back to you, or whatever, you're rescued from it. Like, you know, schools haven't always been good to me. I was good in school, but I saw the bum deal, like, in hindsight, you know. So I was thinking, where could this source be then? How could all these things be around me when I was a child, and I couldn't even see it? Because I was happy when I was a kid. I was so happy, and, you know, I was a good kid, like, you know what I mean? I loved life, like. And then I had to write all these notes down. I've got notes written down. I mean, I'm already into, what, half an hour here, man. You see what I'm saying about this speech? This is a really long, it might be in 2 parts or 3 parts. And I hope my viewers will watch this, like, you should ring bells for your own personal lives, guys. You might have seen the same things in your life, but you didn't notice, yeah. Okay, now, first thing I thought about, like, was like, when I was a youngster, I was about, what, I must have been 5, 6 years old, still a toddler, right, only a kid, maybe 7 at the most, yeah, 6 to 7, right, 6, 7 years old. My elder brother, we lived in a house where our mum and dad would kind of let us stay up late and watch the TV and stuff, do you know what I mean? It wasn't right, obviously, but they were just like that. They were easygoing. If we took the piss out of them, they kind of let us, you know, they sort of give us a lot of leeway, if you know what I mean. They were very easygoing, like, and we were like a load of gypsies, I suppose, you know what I mean? And we were allowed to stay up and watch the television when we were only kids. I was like 5 years old, right? And I was watching, like, I was seeing things. All the other kids in school, right, would be in bed at 7 o'clock in the night or 8 o'clock or something, and then school in the morning, yeah. In our house, right, we used to stay up and watch Hammer horror films, right. Not a good thing for kids to watch, obviously, right. Now, don't blame me parents, right? It was our fault. We pushed them. Do you understand? They didn't say, hey kids, watch these films. You know, it was just the way it was. We stayed up late and we insisted on it, you know what I mean? Especially me and my brother, yeah? because both my sisters were really good in school. They, you know, they'd done the work and they got the exams and the results and all the rest of it. Me and my brother didn't, right? And so we tended to watch all these films like Frankenstein, Dracula, right? So what do you see there straight away from when I'm a child? You see horror films, right? Witchcraft, warlocks. It's all in the movies. And it used to scare the life out of me when I was a kid. I used to have nightmares and all kinds of stuff after watching these films, you know what I mean? But because I was only a kid, obviously. But I still used to be fascinated by it, you know what I mean? It was just the way it was, like, you know. And the thing was, right, okay, it's one thing was watching these horror films as children, and it's in our heads, you know, ooh, Frankenstein, Dracula, The Mummy, you know the films I'm talking about, Hammer horror films, right? Now, my brother in particular, the toys that we played with, right? I was the kind of kid that would be like happy with a plastic rabbit or a plastic teddy. This is where plastic comes into the picture, guys, because plastic never used to exist years ago. Years ago, domestics used to use the crystal balls and stuff like that for the, you know, the Satan's hair, right? Satan's hair. And I used to play with toy cars, you know, like a Batman figure or whatever, you know, Action Man, right? But these toys get released. And this is what I'm saying to you is, right, what kind of toy out there, guys, this is a question for you, before I will give you the answer, right, but what kind of toy out there, right, when you were all kids, our generation, the 70s kids, well, I was born in 64, yeah, you know, all 60s kids and 70s kids, right, before the video games and all the rest of it, what toy out there, right, can you think of that would be hollow, right? Hollow, not solid, and full of air. No, like a pocket of air, like a balloon, if you will, like a balloon full of air. Yeah. Okay, we can say a football, right? A football's one, isn't it? Because you can't kick a football around unless it's been pumped up with air, can you? You know what I mean? Or a bicycle. Your tyres, you can't ride a bike. You see the way I'm making you think about the elements of air, guys, you know what I mean? Anyone out there who's involved in witchcraft or you know, warlock or black magic or voodoo, you know damn well that the earth, wind and fire, or what, you know, the 4 elements, that's what they use. They use 4 elements to make any spell materialise, yeah? One of them's air, we all know that. Satan rules the air, right? Satan's domain is air. That's how he tricks our brains, because we're all surrounded by it, aren't we? When you've got a section of air that's been, you know, surrounded and sealed, what we call sealed, you've got a balloon, a football, tyre on a bicycle. Well, what toy out there in particular would be hollow? But it wouldn't be hollow when you first buy it. It won't be hollow when you first buy it. You actually make it yourself. Airfix, you know, model kits, airplanes. I mean, the word air is in there, isn't it? Like airfix. You know, model kits, what you build, right? Now, I was into them myself. I build airplanes and that kind of stuff, yeah, because it's the way. My brother was more into it than me, you see, because he was a year ahead of me, like, yeah. But the problem is, right, guys, okay, you got these airplanes and stuff, right? When you get them out the box, there's no pockets of air in them, guys, you know what I mean? They're actually, it's all open, isn't it? And then you glue all the bits together. And you seal it with the glue, remember? There's like a seal. You know, you're making it airtight, aren't you? And at the end and when you're finished, you've got this end product of an aeroplane or a boat or a helicopter, or a car. And you guarantee there's going to be pockets of air sealed. But it took your eye, because you're the one that's building it. You know, your eyes are focused on whatever you're working on, yeah. Satan steals your eye, guys, you know what I mean? He's an expert at what we call wiping our eyes, yeah. You steal your eye, take it into something you don't really want to be in, or you're not aware of if it's a bad thing or a good thing, you know what I mean? So you sit down, you spend hours building this aeroplane. Yeah. You're guaranteed somewhere inside that is a piece of your eye is trapped in this pocket. And you could have been like, think about it, guys, when we used to make them things, we didn't care whether it was a Nazi plane or a fucking... sorry for my language, right? Try not to swear, you know. We didn't care whether it was a Messerschmitt or a Spitfire. Do you understand? We didn't care whether it was the Tirpids or, you know, the HMS Ark Royal, or... You just bought the models and built them, yeah. And, man, me and my brother, we were obsessed with it. We had, like, figures all over the place and airplanes all over the place of these things we built, yeah. But my brother was more into it than me, yeah. But I'm going to try and upload this video. I'm going to try and put some illustrations in this section to show you pictures of what I'm talking about, right? I've got to assemble this video like a film sort of thing, you know. Put some photos in them. So cue the photographs. Obviously I can't show them now while I'm recording, but I'll be editing in some photographs in later on, yeah. Along comes these model kits, right, that changed everything. I was used to the aeroplanes, I was used to the helicopters, I was used to the boats. Well, what comes along, what my brother got into, not me. I wasn't interested in these ones, yeah, but my brother was, yeah. Frankenstein, Dracula, the werewolf, the Phantom of the Opera, the beast, what was it, the creature from the Black Lagoon. And I'm telling you straight, guys, right, I remember the day when my brother walking home. I'd been to school that day, yeah. My brother used to have asthma, so he didn't go to school. He used to have an illness, so he was, you know, he sort of pardoned from going to school, yeah. I remember coming home from school one day, and my mum and dad, well, my dad was out working, and my mum would always be in at 3:30 in the afternoon, you know what I mean, when I get home from primary school. I was only 6 or 7, right? I get back from school, yeah, I was 7 years old, I was 7, right, I remember it correctly, like 7 years old. Gets home from school, no one's in, knocking on the door, looking through the letterbox. Mum, where are you? Because she was always in cooking the tea, or, you know, she was always there, like, you know. And, no answer, so I sat at the back. I used to go at the back of the, you know, where we lived, and sit on under the window in the back door, like this like little ledge I used to sit on and wait for them, you know what I mean? It was a warm sunny day, like, so I just sat in the sun waiting, like, thinking, where are they, like? Next thing, I see my mum coming across the car park with my brother, walking back as they'd been shopping. And in my brother's hands is a Frankenstein, you know, a box. You know, because, you know, my brother would, if he got a new toy, he'd go, look what I've got, Bruce, look what my mum's bought me today, you know what I mean? He's walking towards me like that with this box in his hands, like a big cardboard box, like, with Frankenstein, you know what I mean? And there's a picture of, you know, this monster man, like, with his Frankenstein head and everything, like, you know. Now, let's all bear in mind, guys, that Frankenstein wasn't real. He came from a story, he came from a fictional novel written by Mary Shelley, right? Let's all realise this. And Dracula came from a novel written by Bram Stoker, based on information of Vlad the Impaler, an evil man who used to kill people and drink the blood. Well, you know, these aren't nice things, are they? You know what I mean? Frankenstein. He was a man that was brought back from the dead, made of other people's dead parts, you know what I mean? It's not the kind of... I'm 7 years old and my brother's 8 years old. Right, I'm only 7, just taking in what goes on around me, you know what I mean? So along comes my brother with this box in his hand, like, you know, look what... And he was like really excited about it, you know what I mean? Like, look what I've got, look what I've got. Frankenstein. And I'm like, but why am I sitting here waiting at home, waiting to have me tea? I just got back from school. Why was this so urgent, John? You know what I mean? Why did you have to, like, what was, you know, I'm looking at my mum and say, why was this so urgent? Why couldn't they just leave this till tomorrow or something? Like, it was like there was an urgency behind getting that Frankenstein model into the house, if you know what I mean. Obviously my brother's only a kid, so he doesn't know any better. Well, there's a seniority in the background, isn't there? That we're not seeing, like in the picture, like Satan rules the air, remember? Yeah. So anyway, he brings this thing, and the whole day revolved around it. You know what I mean? He starts building it with his glue, assembling it, right? And I'm going to put some illustrations in, right? And that was the first one he got. You see, he got Frankenstein first, right? And I don't know if you've ever seen it, guys. I'm going to put illustrations in and point it out to you, right? But the way it looks is he's standing on a... Check out, type in you know, on the internet, Aurora, you know, model kits, Aurora, you know the word Aurora, A-U, Aurora. That was the company that made them. You know, Airfix made the aeroplanes and stuff, we know that, right? But this was Aurora, a new company, like. It was like monster models, you know what I mean? Check them out, like, and you see them like, oh, they're horrible. They're horrible. But on the Frankenstein model, he's walking on a grave. He's like that, you know. Walking on a grave. And on the grave is like two pyramids. You know, like they're meant to be footstones on a grave. Like obelisks. Like little miniature obelisks, but they were glow in the dark. You know the stuff they put in watches and clocks to glow in the dark. Uranium, you know, this green stuff that glows, you know what I mean? And I used to be frightened when I was a kid. He used to have them in the bedroom, and he bought that one first. Then he got Dracula. Then he got the Phantom of the Opera. Then he got the werewolf. Then he got the mummy. You know, he was quite obsessed with it. You know what I mean? And I didn't get one of them. I'd get the usual things like soldiers and knights in armour and that was my sort of scene, yeah. Apollo rockets, you know what I mean? I bought an Apollo rocket when I was a kid once, you know what I mean? That was one of my toys, like, you know. And then, you know, what do any kids remember? But bearing in mind, what does it remind you of? If I was a kid and if I'm only 7 years old, right, and all around me, when I look around and, you know, in the living room on the sideboard where all the toys were or whatever, like, it's always like, you know, like the werewolf model was like that. You know what I mean? It was like, yeah, the werewolf was like that. Dracula was like, the Phantom of the Opera was just gruesome. You know what I mean? Like a skeleton face. The mummy was like that. You know, so every one of these toys looked like they were coming after you, if you know what I mean. They were all designed to look like they're like, we'll get you one day. You know, so you can imagine through the eyes of a 7-year-old how this all looked. You know what I mean? It was quite intimidating. But I'm going to put a picture in now. I'm just going to say, these idols, these figures of monsters, not like, you know, you know, not heroes or whatever, like creatures that emerge from novels that are written by any Tom, Dick and Harry that became movies. They're idols, aren't they? If it's been made into a figure, it's an idol, right? But why? They're meant for, they were aimed at kids. Do you understand now with the way, you know, because only kids want to buy model kits, don't they? They were aimed at kids. Right, and I had other friends that had them, you know what I mean? There was one called The Witch. In the series, in the Aurora models, he had, oh, what was it? Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde was another one my brother had. Yeah, Hunchback of Notre Dame. And in that series, I had other friends who all had similar models, you know what I mean? Like one of them had, King Kong was one of them, which was a gorilla, you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, going on against gorillas, guys. There's nothing wrong with gorillas, but Satan would use these, manipulate the air in these things, if you know what I mean. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that once they're sealed with the glue and assembled, it's a big pocket of air for Satan to just manipulate. But if it's shaped like a monster, it's not a football or a tyre on a bike, or a Spitfire or a Messerschmitt or whatever. It's a bloody monster. And I'm going to put a picture in again, just like to remind us, like, what does it remind you of? With this figure of a creature like that, like, we're scary monsters, you know, scary monsters that glow in the dark. you know, when I was a kid, if they were in the bedroom, I used to cry, you know what I mean? I used to say to my mum, can't you know, tell my brother to put them downstairs or something, like, because they're scared. I can't sleep. I can't sleep. I keep seeing it, open my eyes, look across the room, I see Frankenstein's glowing in the dark hands and head like that. You know what I mean? My brother couldn't see it. I don't know why, like, he just couldn't see it, you know what I mean? Okay. So, this coil of witchcraft since I was a child, that these guys told me about in Wales, bearing in mind me detective work, that Satan rules the air, right? Well, obviously they sprang into my world about, you know, from about then, like. I mean, there's another tale I've got to tell you, like, from like, if you've got, you know, from when I was a kid, this is another point, like, apparently, my mum told me when I was a kid, you know, I know the day I was born, which was like, my birthday is the 4th of November 1964, right guys, yeah? And when I was a baby, newborn baby, in a you know, in a crib, in a hospital next to my mum, my dad went to visit my mum, and I'd only just arrived. I'm not 1 day or 2 days old. Only just arrived, basically. And obviously, you don't smoke cigarettes in front of your children, do you? When they're just, you know, newborn babies. You know how sensitive everything is. You know what I mean? But my arm man being the way he was, and don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking him for it, but it was a bit of a silly mistake. Yeah, he smoked. You see, he smoked from, you know, from way back. Yeah. And he's sitting in a room with my mum. It was a private room. Well, not private, you know, it wasn't a ward. It was just a room where she could close the door, you know what I mean? And my dad says to my mum, I'll just have a sly smoke. And this is my thing about smoking and cigarettes, you know, why can't people wait? Why can't people wait until, you know what I mean? Why can't they just wait? But apparently my mum says, yo, you don't want to be smoking in here in front of the baby, you know what I mean? But little Bruce has just arrived. I'm like, you know, I must have been like, you know, little baby, like. But he insists, doesn't he? He says, oh no, it's only a quick one, it's only a quick one. Gets his ciggy out, right? Lights it with a match. And obviously he's like, sort of like, you know, don't want the smoke to be detected by the nurses outside or whatever. But he goes to put his matchstick back in the matchbox and sets the whole box of matches alight. You know, like when you see a whole box of matches go, he does that in the room where I've just been born. So the room was full of sulphurous, smelly matches. You know, and I've only just entered the world. I've only just arrived. And before I know it, I'm in a room full of stinky, smelly, sulphurous matchsticks going on fire in a matchbox. And he's like, oh no! You know, and then a nurse came in and bollocked him, you know what I mean, went mad on him, like, what are you doing? How can you be so irresponsible as to try and light up a cigarette when your baby's there in a crib? Only just arrived. So that's another example of a thing, an element of the elements of fire, right? The elements of fire entering into my space. I only just arrived. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, it was just a mistake, it was an error. But what made me dad do it? What made me arm man think, I feel like a cigarette now. I've got to have a cigarette now. In the same room where there's a baby just been born. Do you know what gets into people's heads, man? Do you care about your children, or do you care about what you know, you have to have a smoke, like? What's more important? So bear in mind that, like, me matchstick experience, like, when I've only just been born. And you know what the smell of matches is like, especially, you know, when you're in school and someone lights a match and it stinks the whole school out, doesn't it? Imagine what the smell of a box of matches was like in a room in a hospital. So there, some kind of element was chasing me, you know what I mean? That's all I know, like. And then I've got all these models, I get into childhood when I'm like, you know, I'm like 7 years old. And there's all these like monsters all around me. These... Where do we get you? We're coming after you now. I'm going to drink your blood when I get you. You know, like these figures that I had to look at, like. But the Frankenstein model had pyramids on the, they were supposed to be footstones on a grave, and they were hollow, remember? You know, my brother would have glued them, you know, and then sealed it up. And his eye goes into them. He's the last eye to see, you know, before he seals it, like. So I've always said to me brother, you had your eye wiped when you were a kid, John, you know, but he doesn't, he's too proud to admit it. He doesn't admit it, like, you know what I mean? I say, you had your eye wiped when you were a kid, you know what I mean? There's loads of people I say it to and they don't believe what, they don't know what I'm talking about. When I say you got your eyes wiped, someone's nicked your eyes and that's it, like. So anyway, what am I up to here? 50 minutes. See, I'm already, and I've still got loads to say, like, but no, I'll try and wrap it up, right? Okay, got these notes. So if you think of all these toys in all directions, not just in our house, guys, right? Like, I had a friend who lived over the road, and he had the witch. In those Aurora models, there was a witch. And I don't, check out Aurora model kits, and type in the witch. And you'll see she's a proper classic witch with the pointy hat on. She's got a cauldron that glows in the dark, the glow-in-the-dark cauldron. And obviously inside that cauldron there would be like air, empty air, you know, pockets of air, like it's sealed, glued in. Little pockets for Satan to wander around in, or while we're all kids, all hiding. Just wandering around us from one model to another. Just keeping an eye on us all, like, do you know what I mean? In his glow-in-the-dark plastic toys, like. But my mate had the witch and it was horrible, you know what I mean? They were quite gruesome to look at, you know what I mean? I don't know why anyone would want to buy them myself, like. I mean, I was having an argument with my brother, and he was calling me, he used to persecute me, my brother, you know, because he was older than me. He used to call me names and stuff like that to make me angry, you know, to get me temper, like. And I went into the living room one day and I picked up the Phantom of the Opera off the shelf, like, you know, he had all his monsters were all on the shelf. He was calling me names. And I picked up the Phantom of the Opera. And I went, if you don't stop calling me names, I'm going to smash this. And he carried on calling me names, thinking I wouldn't do it. So I just went, smashed it on the floor. Smashed the Phantom of the Opera on the floor, yeah. He legs it into me mum. Mum, he's just broke the Phantom of the Opera. And then my mum's like, what did you do that for? We had to pay for that. I was like, I smash all of them. I smash every one of them if I could. You know, because they were horrible. But I was, you know, he was lucky I didn't smash all of them, like. But anyway, I'm going to bring you right down to, I've mentioned the crystal balls, guys, yeah? Before plastic, there was crystal balls and bubbles and those kinds of things, right? I don't know, I'm hoping the penny drops, I hope I'm getting, you know, this is a bizarre message, but right. And bringing me my last point, right? If Satan rules the air, right, and he goes all around us, think about like we watch the FA Cup final or the World Cup final or Wimbledon. What is everyone's eyes focused on, guys? Do you know what I mean? Say 10 million viewers all watch the World Cup. I mean, it's more than that, isn't it? Say the World Cup final. It's usually live on television, isn't it? It's all about live transmissions, you see, guys. Not recorded material, because that's all on videotape, isn't it? But if we're all sitting in our living rooms, right, and we're all looking at a television set, all of us, the whole world, remember, you know what I mean? We're all sitting there watching Wimbledon, or the FA Cup final, or the World Cup final. What are we all looking at? Is my question, what are we all watching? We're watching a bloody ball bouncing from one end of the field to the other, full of air. You know? So Satan's got our eyes there, hasn't he, straight away? You know, just one of us, or two of us, or three of us, or, you know, the street. It's all like the whole planet. Imagine the whole planet united. The whole earth, the whole globe, all united. And it's the World Cup final. Yeah. When England beat Germany, or when, you know, Brazil, and, you know, all these, you know, because I like football, I like sport, you know what I mean? But bearing in mind that the whole world is all like looking at a television screen and watching this ball bouncing all over the show, and it's live, remember, we're actually watching it as it's happening. It could be in Brazil, it could be in Germany, it could be in Italy, the World Cup final, or in the case of the FA Cup, it's Wembley, you know, in London. Well, you're all focusing on a ball bouncing everywhere that's like filled with air. And it's like we're all worshipping it, isn't it, really? Do you know what I mean? We're all going like, oh, the ball went that way, the ball went this way, the ball's in the net. Who's got the ball now? And it's like worship, isn't it? It's bizarre. For Satan's ball of air. Final point, right? Every one of us, anyone who's watching this video out there, right? You could get rid of every football. You could get rid of every toy or anything that's filled with air, any Airfix kits. You can smash them and burst Satan's bubble, can't you? You can stick a pin in a balloon and burst Satan's bubble. You can stick a knife in a football. You can stick a knife in a car tyre or a bike tyre and burst Satan's bubble, yeah. There's one bubble in all of our houses that none of us ever thinks of bursting. Where do you think it is, guys? This is a great question I've got to ask you all, yeah. I love asking questions and making people think like, wow, what's he talking about now, like, you know what I mean? It's like, in your houses, guys, if you live in a house, or a flat, or, you know, an apartment, you know, me included, there's a ball of air in this pad where I live that I can't do nothing about. I can't get rid of it. Where do you think it is, guys? In the toilet. Do you know what I'm talking about? The cistern. Do you know what it does? You flush the toilet. It's like a football. It's a ball that floats on the water, yeah? They could have designed another system other than the cistern to like refill the tank. But no, we've got this thing where you flush your toilet, the water goes out, the ball goes down, and then it starts filling the tank up again, doesn't it, automatically? The water starts pouring in, the ball starts floating up, and as soon as it's full, it stops and it cuts off the water. But what's floating at the top of the water, guys? Satan's ball of air floating on the toilet water, like. Every one of us, I don't know, have you ever seen a toilet without one? You ever seen a hot water tank in the loft or anything like that without them balls floating? They're in everything, aren't they? They're in the hot water tank, they're in the cistern. And what does cistern sound like, guys? What does cistern sound like? Sister. Sistine. You know, the Sistine Chapel in Italy, belongs to the Pope, it belongs to the Vatican, like. The Sistine Chapel. Cistern. Right, so that's it. So, bring me back to the dream in Wales. You didn't make all them mistakes, Bruce. It wasn't your fault. You were surrounded by a coil of witchcraft. And I'm like, wow. I've done all this detective work myself, guys. I've gone like, wow. Must have been in the Airfix kits, must have been in the Frankenstein, Dracula. And I'll put some illustrations in, guys, to let you realise, and some reminders of what it reminds me of. When I see them figures, I just go, oh, wow. Does it remind you of anything, guys? Like, flick up the image, like, you know, scene from The Exorcist, you know, the fucking... Sorry guys, sorry for the language. But you know, the statue in The Exorcist, you know what I mean? It's like a monster. It's like, you know, the statue in The Exorcist, like, you know what I mean? You know, might as well just swap it for a Dracula or a Frankenstein, innit? Or, you know, the creature from the Black Lagoon, Dr. Jekyll and the witch and everyone, like, you know. Well, yeah, well, man, I think I've finished, haven't I? I think I've finished. We've got you all thinking, like, so is there a way we can get rid of our cisterns, guys? That's a question I want to ask anyone out there. Do you know how to get rid of the cistern out of our houses and that? We don't own our house. I don't own my property. It's not mine, like, and I've always had this thing about toilets, man. You know, when you go camping, like, you dig a hole, you have a dump or a wee, you know what I mean? You have a dump in a hole, you bury it. That's the way to do it, like, what have the Romans invented, guys? What did the Romans invent? Baths. You know, jacuzzis, toilets. You know, their obsession with getting everyone plumbed, all linked up to the plumbing and that, like. You know, cistern. There's a plastic ball in every bathroom, man. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know whether it was worth me doing this speech. I don't even know why I'm just trying to explain myself, you know what I mean? Why I made mistakes when I was younger and all the rest of it, like, you know, but when you got all these monsters in all directions and stuff, like, and, you know, Because yeah, it's true, you know, Satan does rule the air, he dominates the air, and he taxes people, he taxes it, you see, that's how he rules, you know what I mean? But in a holy Bible, right guys, there's no air. Do you know what I mean? In a book, in a holy Bible, it's like, you can't put anything in it, can you really, apart from bookmarks or pieces of paper, because it's like that, it's flat. You know, so you've got a Bible, right guys, you know what I mean? Make sure you've got, even if you don't believe or you don't understand, make sure you've got a Bible in your homes, guys, a holy Bible, because it beats the cistern, it beats the monster models, it beats the Airfix kits, it beats the bubbles in the crystal balls or the paperweights or whatever it is, you know? You know, that's my message. I hope it means something to someone out there, you know what I mean? I hope this makes pennies off, make you think. Well, I'm going to put some photos in and try and make the video a little bit more interesting, you know what I mean? Because you know, and anyone out there, right? I'm working on a video of, you know, gay marriage is wrong part 2, because do you realise how much stick I've got for that video? It's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable, the stick I'm receiving for that speech, for saying that gay marriage is wrong. They're all sharing that video. It's like an army of like homos and lesbians. They want to kill me, like. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I hope this enlightens you. I hope you understand what I'm saying. I'm sure there'll be kids out there, you know, guys out there who, when they were kids, they had the same history. They might have thought they were evil or bad or naughty, and you know, the influence, the gold enters your life, and you know what I mean. But anyway, thanks for watching. Finally got this speech in the can about Satan's pockets of air. They're all pockets sealed in all directions. I might have missed some things. I had things written down, and I've got like lists written down. So I got crystal balls, elements, earth, wind and fire, air, wind and fire. You know, all them elements are in every cigarette, guys. You know what I'm on? You know, telling people to stop smoking and stuff, like, it's not because for the health reasons, it's like, stop giving Lucifer a ride, man, you know what I mean? Like my old man did when I was just born, like, you know what I mean? Putting Lucifer in my room before I even had a chance to walk. Okay, I think I'm finished, I think I'm done. Please comment, guys. It's the only way I know you're out there, that you're still watching, or you know, that the governments haven't blocked my channel, or you know, Obama's cyber warriors aren't, like, you know, fencing me off. I need your feedback, guys, right? Even if you just say, you know, oh wow, that's alright. All my subbers out there, right, please do me a favour and leave a message and say something, and it knows that I'm not wasting my time, because for all I know, none of my videos might be being seen, because I'm getting very low views, you know what I mean? So I'm not really sure whether it's only monitors that are watching me, or lizards or whatever, you know what I mean? I don't actually know, like. So it's important you give me a bit of feedback, guys, to let me know, because I've got a couple more speeches. I've got one about drugs to do. I keep telling you that it's like, it's going to be like it's going to make the penny drop in you know, in the drugs world, like, you know, Satan's uses drugs to get us as well, you know, guys. You know, if Satan wants someone, like, he's like, get him hooked on drugs. Okay. Yeah. And if you ever see anyone chewing a chewy, I'm off the nicotine chewies, guys. I'm on just ordinary chewies, like mint chewies now. You know what I mean? I've stopped the nicotine chewies even, do you know what I mean? But if you ever see anyone blow a bubble in front of you with a chewy, you know when you see people on television, on films and that, they go, and they blow a bubble, like, you know, make sure you burst it. You know what I mean? Burst that bubble, guys, you know what I mean? I don't know what we're going to do about our cisterns, like, but, you know, someone's got to, I was going to invent a whole, I sat down with a notebook once, yeah, and I was designing a toilet, you know, like, actually designing a toilet that didn't need a cistern. That's how bad it got. Sitting down designing a toilet. You just dig a hole in the countryside. You just dig a hole, have a dump and bury it, like, you know what I mean? Have you ever seen a horse go to the toilet? I haven't. They just lift the tail up and drop it, don't they? You know what I mean? No, the taboo that the Romans are putting in our heads, like, you know what I mean? Like, you've got to go to the toilet, you've got to have a bath, you're like, oh, you've got to do everything they say. They're charging us for water now, guys. You know, United Utilities actually charge us for water. Think about that. Just think about that. In Britain, in this country, in the United Kingdom, they've got a company called United Utilities, and we pay them for our water. If I was living in my tent, in the middle of the countryside as a tramp, I wouldn't have to pay for that, would I, obviously? Well, anyway, okay, thanks for watching. I'll see you around.